Welcome to Politically Sober. Hello everyone, my name is Hashimurda. So today we'll be doing another interview for the podcast, one that will nosedive into the nitty-gritty of the Middle East. So, we will first discuss the importance of students in politics, which is basically procedure now, and then move on to talk about Syria and the Middle East in general. So today, overall, the Syrian civil war is coming to an end, with the dictator Bashar al-Assad vanquishing the rebels and other groups such as ISIS, thus re-establishing dictatorial control over an exhausted and thoroughly damaged Syria. As the war comes to a close, so does U.S. involvement, as the U.S. is now actually pulling out of Syria. And now I'll be providing you with a few rapid-fire tidbits of things you need to know before the interview. First of all, the Sykes-Picot Agreement was an agreement made by the British and the French to divide up the Middle East amongst themselves using arbitrary borders. Second of all, Erdogan is president of Turkey. Third of all, there's a part within the interview where a statement is made about Abrams tanks. It's actually surprisingly true. Fourth of all, the Mujahideen are the rebels that the US supported during the Soviet-Afghan War. Fifth of all, the PKK and YPG are Kurdish groups that are considered terrorists by Turkey. And sixth of all, Bashar al-Assad is the current dictator of Syria and had few political aspirations in the beginning. So that's some preliminary information, and without further ado, enjoy the interview. Hello everyone, my name is Hashimurda. So today I'm here with a U of T student, a life science U of T student. His name is Pamir Gurler. So Pamir Gurler, tell me about yourself a bit more.
Hi. Well, as you said, I am a University of Toronto Superior School student in life science, which is harder than your McMaster's life science course. All right, let's just get it out of the way. All right. Well, I'm 18 years old, right? 18 years and 6 months, and I'm a Canadian citizen. I came here as an immigrant when I was 12 from Turkey.
So you're Turkish? Man.
Yeah, I'm Turkish.
Yeah.
Like
that's cool.
I really like it.
It's interesting. Yeah,
I know. I'm also pretty patriotic.
Patriotic, Turkish patriot.
Yeah. Oh, like Canadian now. What?
Ataturk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
Now, like, since I've ever became Canadian, I'm more Canadian patriotic too. I'm like, go Canada! Woo!
So, what do you think in general of students in politics?
All right. I think it's good that students should get involved in politics, but I also think that students could formulate their own opinions and their own beliefs rather than hearing some people talk about it or like.
Yeah, like this program is allowing you to talk about what you believe.
Like, what you believe, and like, it's not necessarily what you believe, but you need to, like, students need to research, and more in our generation, you know, what they call millennials. We need to research a bit more onto the topic, you know, get a better sense of inquiry before we make a statement, we release a statement.
Yeah, especially considering we have the internet, right?
It is, and it can be toxic too.
Yeah,
if you don't,
it can be really easy to, like, veer off the path of, like, actual objectivity and then go off to more radical groups, like the alt-right, all that stuff.
It is really easy.
Yeah, I think, like, students should be a bit more open to talk about politics too, because I feel like if you suppress it, you will probably go off to maybe more radical ways, right? So, yeah.
Honestly, I think, like, here's the thing. Students should talk about it more openly, like, without, like, as you said, without being suppressed. And, what was I going to say? It was on the basis of, like, how student ideas... Okay, we should listen to ourselves. That was what I was going to say. We should listen to ourselves instead of, you know, fighting and debating all them. Because, look, U.S. at this time is more divided than it has ever been before. Maybe except for Civil War, which was literally divided. And the main result of that is that people don't listen to each other. People, like, you know, leftist Democrats, they labeled the Republicans as, you know, redneck hillbillies. and Republicans label leftists as communists and people who want to like change the American way of life. But I think like they should just take time to listen to themselves, and there's of course going to be middle ground.
Yeah.
Not like maybe not in 100 topics, but out of one topic in 100, that's a good start for a middle ground.
Yeah, if you call each other names, you won't get anywhere.
Honestly, and what's the point of calling each other names? Honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pointless because you're
It's
not actually
radicalizing.
addressing what the actual topic is. It's just wasting time. Obviously, you're Turkish, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting because I want to get some sort of like Turkish perspective here on like the Middle East
Okay.
and all what's going on there. You know, because it's a hot topic and it's really important too. Like Syria.
It is. All right, Syria, let's go.
Yeah. I'm wondering, what do you think of the whole U.S. pulling out of Syria?
U.S. pulling out of Syria. I think. Oh God. Here's what I think. I think it was good. Okay, they shouldn't have been in there in the first place. Not U.S., not Russia, not UN. No, but like, it was a Syrian civil war. It should have been a civil war. It should have been kept in a civil war. I don't think we should be in there too. Like, I get it. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Erdogan, but what he's doing in Syria, I kind of support it. Like, what he's doing is, it's in the best national interest of Turkey, in my opinion.
But here's the thing. If you're saying they should have let the civil war, be isolated,
Look, if US
isn't
was
that
never...
kind of hypocritical too? Because,
No, okay.
Like, you're saying the U.S. shouldn't be there, but Turkey can be there, it's fine.
No. If US was never there, I don't think we have any right to be there. But US involvement changes everything, especially, and the Russian involvement in this case too, changes everything because
they don't understand the...
It's not that, look, okay, so...
conflict?
Yeah, well, they don't. Frankly, they don't. They don't. They're basically supporting a bunch of mujahideens like they did in Afghanistan with weapons and ammunition. And it can be dangerous in like war sense. We saw in the first phase of ISIS and how the weapons they left in Iraq. Oh, fun fact. U.S. Army never brings their own weapons back. They just leave it there in the country. It's cheaper to produce new weapons than to bring them back. Now you know. That's what they did in Lebanon. That's what they did in Afghanistan. That's what they did in Iraq. They sold the, used weapons to Iraqi army, which was then captured by ISIS. Freaking ISIS had Abraham's tanks. Like, they had tanks with full plate armor and stuff. So I really don't think they should have been there in the first place. And it could have been, like, this whole thing could have been just simply avoided.
The whole war, you're saying? But
not the whole war. Okay, stuff that Assad did, it's not humane. It's not right. It's not...
Obviously.
Like... He fired on his protesters. You don't fire on protesters. Okay, in my opinion, if people are protesting against you, you should take that in. That's a feedback that you need.
Yeah, you need to change. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can't do anything without killing them. That's just gonna radicalize them.
You know
more.
that the international community is gonna hate you for this.
Exactly.
Right.
So, do I think Assad should change though?
Like in terms of changing him?
Yeah, kind of like a change in government.
Yeah.
Do I think it should change?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
No. Why?
Stability?
What?
Stability?
It's all about stability, I think.
At this point?
Yeah, look. Okay, you look at countries like Iraq and Libya. Yes, Saddam Hussein was a bad person. Like, don't get me wrong. And same with Gaddafi, but they had stability in their countries. Libya was one of the only countries in the world.
But the thing is, people during the time, they didn't know it's going to be this bad. They thought maybe there's going to be a light outside of the dictatorship they're in, right? Like, they changed to a democracy and they're like, okay, well, I think it might work. I mean, this is that. But then it turns out it's really unstable.
It's not that hard to realize, that's a utopia. And a revolution is basically a 360 degrees turn, all right? Think about it. Killing of Caesar in Rome. They killed Caesar. Why? Because they wanted the Republic back. The Senate thought he was taking too much power. What happened right after Caesar was dead? Augustus claimed himself the emperor of Rome. French Revolution. What happened when they killed King Louis XVI? Napoleon claimed himself as the emperor. What happened in Russia when they killed Tsar Nicholas II and his whole family? Lenin just took all the power and then he died and then Stalin got it. What a revolution is a 360 degree turn. Unless you have a guy that can replace the other guy better in terms of agenda and national interest, then why are you revolutionizing for it, honestly? Because, look, we had the same thing, okay? Turkey had the same thing. We had a sultan, all right, Ottoman Empire, and then, we got invaded by a bunch of countries, and then our glorious Ataturk saved us, right? He did, it was him and his, military buddies, right? You can't give him all the credit. But then you got to realize this guy stayed in power for 15 years. That's as much as Putin and Merkel has at this point. But what he did in terms of country, he was a dictator, so his country may never have a dictator again. So there's some turning points in his 1930s. I think it's 2 times where they're basically trying to. It's a one-party rule then, and it's a whole one-party rule like the communist China has. And they're like, all right, let's move to a multi-party election, right? And then both times they get canceled, the elections, because they believe that the people are not ready yet. They can be radicalized too quickly, they're not educated yet. Educated to have basically their own opinions, kind of thing, right? They just needed a bit more time. And when he died in 1938, you can actually see this, because 1940 elections, they were won by the right-wing Democratic Party, so-called Democratic, using religious symbolism and propaganda. Yeah.
So, he's a dictator now, or during the time, so then he can instigate the policies, right, that are needed, so then later on, the democracy can flourish.
Yeah, basically.
But we were going back to Syria.
All right,
so, I don't know how we veered up to this, but, so you're basically also saying that only support a revolution when the person backing it is competent enough.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're saying, so in general, we should support, for example, in the Syrian civil war, it wasn't worth supporting, in your opinion, the democratic forces because there wasn't a specific leader that was there that was competent.
Who's heading the FSA?
I don't know, to be honest.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But the thing is,
Wikipedia it.
But the thing is, if you're not going to start it, who's going to start it?
What?
If you're not going to start it, who's going to start it? Who's going to start the revolution, for example, against this the Syrian government?
I think the most easy answer to this, the most recent example to this, is Egypt. They had a Mubarak,
and then Morsi,
a dictator, and then people started a revolution, and people did. Not an army, guys. Not everyone. People did. They literally went on to there's a square in Cairo.
Tahrir?
Yeah, I think so. They literally camped there. And the military was like, well, we're going to join you guys. And they overthrew the Mubarak government, right? Then they installed a democratic government, right? And what happened a year later? The army just took over back.
So something interesting you just said was the army.
Yeah.
Which is one of the biggest aspects of power to actually to overthrow a government in the Middle East.
If it's not the biggest,
yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's the biggest. What am I saying?
Yeah, it is. Like you said with Egypt, all that stuff, and Syria didn't really overthrow the government because the military was still with Bashar al-Assad. If the military was not, then obviously the Syrian government would have fell.
Of course, it's all about the military perspective, in my opinion. People can start, okay? People have their opinions, but at the end, it all comes down to whether you have the military's backing or not. In any case, that's true.
It'll be more bloodless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, in terms of Syria, that's why I don't think Assad's government should have thrown out. And in this case, it doesn't seem like they're gonna get thrown out.
They basically won now.
Basically, almost. It's just a matter of days.
And now, but the Kurds are there, and Turkey's gonna enter.
Okay.
Which is an interesting.
All right, let's go.
Especially considering the past few days.
I haven't been checking the past 2 days. I was on vacation. Let me check what happened.
No, I mean, in the past few weeks.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
There hasn't been, from what I've heard.
I actually have a live map here.
Oh,
it's pretty thick. Yeah. so you can like check like
Yeah,
where the
yeah, that's
positions are.
cool.
It's really cool, and like they give out everything. Well, Middle Eastern problem,
Yeah.
right? Or as I like to call it, Turkey's southeastern problem, right? Because Turkey doesn't have a Kurdish problem. It doesn't have people problem with the Kurds. It has a southeastern problem.
With the whole PKK and...
Yeah, it does. Like with the rebel. Well, that's why I brought the book. So it's Turkish. You're not gonna obviously read it, but
Oh, yeah.
it's by a newspaper journalist in Turkey, and he's writing the interviews he did with a gendarmerie. You know what gendarmerie is? It's like National Guard kind of thing.
Oh,
Not
so National Guard.
It's like the Canadian equivalent is mounted police. Secret Service guy. Like this guy founded the Secret Service for like gendarmerie, and they're doing an interview right in the 1990s, 94s. That was like the height of PKK, and you know when the Turkish operations were really cracking down. And some of the things are weird. Like, most of the terrorists, jihadis that are fighting in PKK lines, they have Armenian citizenships, which was really weird.
That's weird.
That is really weird, yeah. And he's saying that, you know, a big reason why this was flourished so much in the 90s was because the Turkish government didn't do anything. And he's blaming the problem on the Turkish government, which I have to agree with. Okay, as a government, you are tasked with protecting your people, right?
Yeah.
Well, back in the 90s, like, at least at the time this was written, the Turkish government did not provide support for its villagers in southeastern part of the country. They're mainly focused on the western provinces.
So they ignored them.
They ignored them. And what do people do when they're ignored? They get radicalized.
Yeah,
right?
they get angry.
Yeah, they get angry.
Yeah,
You know,
makes
basically.
sense, yeah. They don't feel like the government cares about them, so...
Yeah, which they have every right to do it, honestly. Yeah. But in a sense that, you know, involvement of PKK and YPG in the Kurdish areas, they actually make life for the Kurds a lot worse. And here's the reason why. They put out a bad image. PKK is labeled as a terrorist organization. You know, YPG has committed many, many crimes in Syria.
So you group them all in one group that they're, for example, the
well,
government group
it's a
them
really
up.
easy target for, you know, people on the other side to do it.
Yeah, easy target. Yeah. Scapegoating, yeah. You could scapegoat the Kurds because they're like, oh, they're all part of this PKK terrorist organization, even though they're not.
That's what politicians do.
Yeah, obviously.
Look, Turkey's a really ethnic place, all right? We have Kurds, we have Laz people, we have Georgians, we have Tartars, we have everyone, all right? In that one region, we have Greeks, we have Armenians, we have everyone. If everyone started butchering each other, they wouldn't have a big country to, like, people to govern. Everyone would be dead, right?
A lot of Middle Eastern countries are in the same situation.
It is like that. Like, you can't
Syria,
blame each other on it, yeah.
Syria has Christians, Kurds, all
exactly.
kinds of Iraq, same thing. Shia, Sunni, also Christians. There's so many different ethnic groups as well.
It is so diverse.
So, yeah, the whole region is really diverse. Yeah, and I think that's another problem with the whole thing is that the whole borders of the Middle East.
Oh, it's messed up.
Because, like you said, with Turkey, there's the Kurds in the south, all that stuff, and you can scapegoat them, right? As the Turkish government can scapegoat them, right? And then same thing with all the other countries as well. And then you have the problem where there's nationhood, right? In Iraq, Syria, Jordan, all these other countries that never existed since the past 100 years. Like, it's just the past 100 years, this sort of national identity existed. But then before that, that didn't exist. It was just, okay, we live in this sort of Ottoman Empire, for example, right? And, you know, nationhood didn't exist.
No. Well, Kurds in themselves, they're highly divided. There's Turkish Kurds, which speak Turkish. They can understand Turkish. They write Kurdish, right? They also speak Kurdish. And there's Syrian Kurds. There's Zaza Kurds. There's Iraqi Kurds. Like, there's a bunch of them. Like, it's all divided too. Like, going back to the border thing, the borders were drawn. Really
yeah. Like, if it was smart, it would have put Kurdistan as a whole country, right?
Yeah.
More smarter. Thanks, Britain and France.
Thank you, Brendan.
For Sykes-Picot Agreement.
Like, I don't know. It's a weird topic.
It's hard to even
It's hard.
talk about because it's so complicated.
It is complicated.
Like the whole Middle Eastern problem is so complicated. It's like even foreign policymakers don't understand it.
No.
Like you see the problem with like the U.S. invading Iraq. They didn't know what the hell's going to happen after. Did they realize that ISIS would form and all these other countries?
Well, if you ask some of the U.S. Marines who are leading the invasion, they will tell you that they did not have a strategic plan. They were just like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
U.S. commanders were like, just go here, take it. They're like, okay. There's no strategic plan or anything.
Yeah, I'm Iraqi myself.
Yeah, and at the end, they didn't even found the UMPs.
Exactly. Like, in 2011, they left. And then they're like, okay, well, we'll just leave Iraq. I think it's fine. And then ISIS comes up in 3 years after that. No one realized this. No one, And that's the thing with also... I do support that Trump left Syria because I feel like it's better. But I also have another side that tells me I don't know about this because, we left Iraq. Not we, but the U.S. left Iraq, right? And then, Iraq became a whole quagmire after, right? With ISIS, all that stuff. So, leaving Syria really helped because now Turkey's going to enter Syria and then we're going to have this whole other problem. So maybe the U.S. being there as a mediator is better than not.
Well, there are several U.S.-made weapons found. Well, U.S.-made weapons are found all over the world, right? But a lot of them are found in PKK, which is a terrorist organization, which is weird. U.S. is supplying terrorists weapons.
But why would they supply PKK?
What? I don't know.
Isn't that the PKK is fighting Turkey, which is a NATO ally?
But they supplied ISIS, which they were fighting. They supply everyone.
Yeah, because it fell into their hands.
Yeah, well, I guess.
By accident.
Maybe a third party. Conspiracy. No, but what was I going to say? There's a lot of geopolitical players in that area. Especially Russia with Syria. Russia needs a port to the Mediterranean Sea. Syria provides that.
Yeah, and I think Tartarus.
Yeah. It's really important for Russians.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Of course, Americans got 800 military bases all around the world, but it's important for Russians. It's their gateway to basically the Mediterranean.
Yeah, something interesting I've seen before is that the Russians always have wanted a warm water port. Yeah. But they haven't ever got it. That's why they invaded. I think that's one of the reasons. I know. I'm pretty sure there's other reasons that they invaded Afghanistan in the Soviet Union times.
Heck, they got their first port in Turco-Russo War in 1800s in Crimea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that would be
under Catherine the Great.
Yeah.
They need ports. Russia's geopolitics are weird.
Yeah.
They're a big country with limited seawater access.
Yeah, because
it's all ice.
It's cold.
It's all ice, let's be honest. No, but you got to consider that. You got to consider, Syria itself, the Syrian people's interest, Assad's interests for the country. You got to keep telling yourself, Assad never wanted to be in a governorship position anyways. He wasn't meant to be. He was just an eye doctor in London.
But his father was a dictator.
His father was, but his brother was supposed to go on to the government. He never wanted to be in the government.
But why didn't...
His brother got an accident or something? I was like, his brother died, so he had to take on the role. Well, you also got to think, Assad's a really educated guy. But yeah, he's a really educated guy. He was educated in England, He was an eye doctor in London. So...
eye doctor isn't really... You can't really equate that to good foreign policy decisions.
No, of course not. But at least
decisions. But...
At least calculated decisions. I'll give you that. University educated means calculated decisions, right? Analytical thinking, at least.
At least. Yeah. In terms of university, because we're back to university, let's talk about a bit more about that. So, do you think university really prepares you for life?
Oh God! All right. For life?
Because we're all university students, right? I obviously don't know because I'm a first-year student. I have no idea. I'm naive. So,
can't say
and
that,
same thing
no.
with you,
Same
I'm
thing
pretty
with
sure,
me.
because you're a first-year
No.
student as well. So,
I like to believe that, especially art. Like, I think it changes from department to department. No offense to art students out there, but a person who's taking art degree and a person who's taking astrophysics degree is not going to be the same.
well, yeah, obviously. They're studying different,
Different
subjects.
subjects, yeah. And
And the utility might be different for one.
of course, definitely. Like, I'm not saying art degrees are useful, don't get me wrong. All
They
I'm
always
saying
get
is that-
bashings on that.
Oh, I do. God damn.
But yeah.
All I'm saying is that, an astrophysicist or engineer or maybe a life science student, all right, is able to more analytically think.
Well, it's thinking in a specific way.
It is.
But then our students think in a
It's
different way
problem
as well.
solving. Yeah. I mean, they can see the beauties we can't in the world.
And they can analyze things we can't.
Yeah.
Law students, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, yeah. Well, I think that was a good conversation we had. It was really interesting. We went off here and here and here, but
Yeah.
that's the point of this, right?
Yeah.
To talk about what you believe in and what you think, and just share to the world what you want to share, really.
All right.
So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and remember, when you're talking about politics, stay sober and take it easy.